So these shelters that are euthanizing at such a high rate, if they get to bring some adoptable animals to the airport and see them go off in a plane, it gives them hope.
I'm talking to Michael Schneider, founder of Pilots to the Rescue, an organisation providing much needed air and road transport between animal shelters and helping to make sure that animals in need are getting to where they need to be. So tell me a little bit about what it is that you do, how it all got started.
So I started Pilots to Rescue back in 2015 to combine my love of aviation, rescuing animals. To date, we've rescued over 6,000 animals, primarily dogs and cats, but we also do endangered species like wolves and sea turtles. And we did a monkey once. We do some farm animals like pigs and roosters. But the main thing is providing a transportation solution for these overcrowded shelters that lack the funds and the space. So we give these animals a better chance of being adopted. It seems like a simple solution for these shelters, but it's difficult. They don't have the equipment, they don't have the drivers, they don't have pilots, etc. So we're filling a much needed need in the animal rescue world by providing reliable, safe transport. Currently, we own and operate 2 planes out of Essex County Airport in Fairfield, New Jersey, and we have 7 transport vans. So the transport vans are really sort of the unsung heroes, the muscle behind the mission, because not every transport requires aircraft. As you can imagine, they're very expensive to operate, especially at the moment with jet fuel the way it is. But there are some great use cases for aviation. Certainly gets a lot of attention. And when we're euthanizing nearly 1 million animals every year in the United States, still, it doesn't matter if we had a fleet of 777 aircraft, you cannot move enough animals to really make a instrumental or fundamental shift in how many animals we're euthanizing. But what we do is we create a tremendous amount of awareness. It's a content making machine. So it's not every day you hear about animals traveling on an aircraft. So by way of channels such as yours, we get a lot of attention to create awareness about this problem that we still have and why it's so important to adopt an animal and not buy one, why it's important to open up your homes and heart to fostering animals. That is a great temporary solution to help these shelters. None of these shelters like to euthanize. And people unfairly point fingers and call these shelters kill shelters. We're trying to get away from that nomenclature because these are their marching orders. This is what they're told to do. Nobody wants to euthanize a perfectly adoptable animal, but because of lack of space and because they don't have the budget, it's very expensive to care for an animal. Medicines, veterinarian care, food. If nobody adopts this animal, and they focus on euthanizing the least adoptable animals. That's an important thing to recognize also. So a least adoptable animal could be ones that are emotionally neglected or abused and can't be adopted, can't be integrated into a family situation. It could be vicious breeds, which we could have a whole conversation about what vicious breeds are. They're not vicious by nature. It's because they were in dogfighting rings or they're abused or neglected and they're dangerous. But by providing this transportation solution and creating awareness, we're helping to shift this issue that we have with euthanizing animals. That's an important distinction to make with what we're doing. We're really doing more than transporting animals.
Yeah, because I mean, I imagine for lots of different reasons, you do get sort of higher density sort of concentrations in some animal shelters versus others, and sort of being able to sort of spread that across is going to take enormous pressure off places that are just overrun and inundated.
And it gives hope. It gives hope. So these shelters that are overcrowded, and in the United States, we're basically, especially on the East Coast, we're talking about the South. So the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, these are all problem areas.
Yeah.
So these shelters that are euthanizing at such a high rate, if they get to bring some adoptable animals to the airport and see them go off in a plane, it gives them hope.
Yes, morale is so important in this.
It is. There's a lot of burnout happening. I mean, I don't need to talk about burnout in daily life and jobs, but for these people who have such huge hearts for our furry friends, it's really difficult day in, day out to deal with these situations. So it's giving them hope.
Yeah.
And then in the United States, other problem areas are like California, Nevada, there's pockets of, and it's interesting to think about how we can provide a larger solution with transport because in California, they're overrun with Chihuahuas. And Chihuahuas Yes, and Chihuahuas are excellent dogs in the Northeast or New York Metro because they're purse dogs, right? They're dogs that you
Mhm.
can pick up and travel with you in a backpack or a purse. You can bring them on a plane and travel with you. Hotels are being more open to traveling with pets. There you go. There's your Chi Chi.
You can have them just sitting under your desk or on your desk.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. So it's no.
I recommend.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants a small dog, which creates an issue for larger dogs. But if we could figure out a transport solution to get small dogs from California to the Northeast, then you're really,
Yeah,
transforming the space. So that
yeah,
supply and demand.
yeah,
That's we're
absolutely.
helping with that.
Yeah, I mean, we were having a chat with a fellow called Chuck Patton who started the Perfect Day cat cafes in Kentucky, and they were being so successful with rehoming their cats because they obviously were utilizing sort of a certain number of shelters in their area. They ran them dry, so they had
Wow.
to, then they were actually having to branch out to get more cats in. So it's that similar situation of sort of, you might empty that shelter, but there's always going to be another shelter full of animals that need homes. So getting them to where they're being rehomed is such a vital thing.
I love to hear solutions like that. And one day, clear out the shelters. It's tremendous.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all want to put ourselves out of business. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
thinking of all these solutions. One day, we hope to get to that point where we no longer have to exist.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's so important what you said earlier. I mean, people who work in animal shelters do it because they love animals, and the idea, they are going to be the most impacted by having to euthanize animals. And
Yeah.
it's so true that this, obviously, yeah, a no-kill shelter sounds really good, but when you do have animals that aren't suitable for rehoming or aren't likely to be rehomed, I think sometimes, well, euthanasia is a better option than them living in a cage for indefinite period of time.
Right. I've come to find that too. It's, first of all, no kill is a bit misleading because they still allow a small percentage for euthanizing animals that can't be adopted,
Yeah.
based on what we talked about before. The other thing, the unfortunate thing about no kill is if you take, and it's a great initiative, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes it means you're closing your doors to accepting new animals to maintain that high percentage of no kill. So you're turning away animals, and I get that, but they're, you know, ultimately we want to get there, but it's a little misleading, that term.
Michael's phone has just overheated in the sun, so he's just going to relocate indoors. How did it actually go from, okay, I've got this idea, to
We're in our 11th year, so last year being our 10th anniversary was a big milestone for us.
yeah.
um, I started this really as a passion project because I love aviation and animals, but I had not been doing it full time until 2021.
Mhm.
One of the many COVID success stories you hear about where
Yep.
people could no longer do a job or a business. I had a corporate events business. And
Okay.
during COVID, that's probably the worst business to be in because
Not
nobody's
gonna
meeting
be
face to
great.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I realized that was not going to succeed, I had the charity, and the charity was taking off because they changed some of the tax donation, like what you can deduct. They just opened it up. Um, so the donations were taking off. So I chose in that moment to do this full time. I kicked myself off the board of directors because that's a conflict of interest. Started paying myself a salary, and it's to the benefit of the organization. We've been growing tremendously since then, and it just goes to show people that are out there in full time jobs where they don't feel that they're fulfilling. At some point, you just have to go for it. You have to trust yourself. You have to go for it. It's hard to have a foot in two worlds.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example. So I was almost forced really to do this full time because I had no choice. I had to put food on the table with my family,
Mhm.
but it was a significantly less money. Nobody goes into nonprofit to make lots of money. Um, but it was in terms of fulfillment, it's off the charts. So fulfillment is better than making money. It really
Oh,
is. I mean, it's never enough money. I have 4 kids and I live in Brooklyn, so it's never enough money.
yeah.
But being excited about what you do and waking up every day and feeling fulfillment and making a difference is extremely rewarding. And I think at a certain part, everybody comes to that point. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and COVID was a good reminder of that too, by the way, like, because people are realizing like, why am I wearing myself out at this dead end job that doesn't give me any fulfillment? Yeah, they had time to reflect on that.
Like, we were doing certain things in a certain way just because that's always how you did them. And, no, I'm not saying that wasn't COVID wonderful, but there have been some really positive things that came out of it in that, yeah, that it's changed work-life balance. It's changed the approach to so many different things So I think it has had that really positive knock-on effect that we're still seeing, even today.
Absolutely. And that was a great choice. The charity has taken off. Like, we've rescued over 6,000 animals, but alone we did over, last year alone, we did over 2,000.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And financially, it's just been continuing to increase. I was doing this by myself, and I just hired my first employee last year.
Wow.
And now I hired 2 people last year and 2 this year. So now it's like a legitimate charity. It's not like me doing it from my kitchen table,
Yeah.
and sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and right, and we're continuing to rescue more and more animals and providing solutions to these shelters by expanding our fleet.
Yeah.
And in 5 years from now, I could see us having reliable, safe transport for shelters across the country. May not be with all aircraft, but with vans.
Yeah.
And right now, a lot of shelters are struggling. They're struggling, and sometimes they're even paying for transport, which is a tragedy because there's a lot of shady commercial operators out there. Um, and I've gotten some insight into that. People that say they can transport animals but don't really know what they're doing, and the animal ends up dying. Like they're people's personal pets. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
So, and the skies are not
Absolutely.
friendly for animals. Traveling in cargo. Like, if you don't have if you have an animal that's too small, not small enough to fit underneath the seat in front of you, it's difficult to know what to do. Not that we transport people's pets, but there needs to be better solutions out there for
Yeah.
transport.
So what type of aircraft are you flying?
So we have 2 planes right now. The big plane, which we call Big Paw, is it's a French company that owns the planes, called Daher is the French company, but it's made in the U.S. It's hand built in Sands Point, Idaho. It's called a Kodiak 100. Kodiak after the Kodiak bear.
Mhm.
And even the paint scheme has like a bear paw print on it. Like, if you
Oh,
imagine a
that's really
bear
cool.
scratching something,
Yeah.
and you could fit one of these Kodiak bears in the plane.
It's good to know. Yeah.
Technically, I think you fit like 1.5 of them. But the best way to describe it, it's like one of those modern day bush planes. If you're familiar with these planes that are in like Alaska or Papua New Guinea or New Zealand, it's a short takeoff and landing plane. We call it a
Mhm.
STOL plane. You only need like 1,000 feet to take off and land. Like, it's amazing
Mhm.
what this plane can do. It's very robust. It's like almost overkill for what we do, but there's very few options in our price range and payload that we're looking for.
Mhm.
It's easy to fly. It's very expensive. Used, it's $2 million. It's just crazy. And it's a turboprop, which means it's a jet engine driving a propeller.
Mhm.
Very reliable. The engine's made by a company called Pratt and Whitney out of Canada. They've been making turbine engines for forever, and they're all over the place. So they're very easy to work on. They're bulletproof. And then the smaller plane we have was donated by the founder of Boston, the rock group. If you know that rock group, Boston, Tom
Oh,
Scholes.
yeah.
Yeah, Tom Scholes is the founder and lead guitarist for that group. And this was his personal plane that he flew his music equipment around. He flew with his wife all the way from Boston to Palm Beach. And he flew 700,000 miles in this plane. And he could no longer fly it due to some injuries. And him and his wife decided to donate it to an animal rescue group because that's a cause that's near and dear to their heart. And we've really been enjoying flying that aircraft. It's a 1980 Beechcraft Bonanza. So this is one of these like general aviation piston planes, not as
Mhm.
reliable, based on older technology, requires a lot of maintenance, or maintenance. You got to stay on top of the maintenance is what I should say.
Yeah.
Whereas that Kodiak I mentioned is pretty bulletproof. You don't really need to do
Mhm.
much. So those are 2 planes we have right now. We're looking to buy another Kodiak by the end of the year. That one will be put in Florida, in Vero Beach. And the idea
Mhm.
behind that is it gives you redundancy. So if anything happens with our main rescue plane, we have a backup. And it cuts down on some of the fatigue and distance that our pilots have to fly. Like, this plane is not that fast. It flies like 200 miles per hour, 170 knots. Not a very fast aircraft. So the trips are long.
Nice. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
by
Absolutely.
having 2, instead of us flying like New Jersey all the way to Florida, we could fly one plane New Jersey to South Carolina. The Florida plane could fly them up from Florida, and figure it
Yeah.
out from there.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
and the vans also help cut down on the flight time. And again, it just depends on what you're moving. If they're puppies and kittens or senior animals or sick animals, that's where you really want to shorten the travel time.
Yeah.
Um, so, but generally speaking, these animals are so resilient. Like, we can learn so much from them. I mean, the littlest things we complain about. I mean, some of the best animals, people ask me, like, what are the best animals you transport? It's always the ones that are missing limbs or missing an eye because it got shot, because they're so loyal and like, they don't even know anything's wrong with them, or they just basically,
Yeah.
go on about their days, Yeah, but we can learn a
Yeah.
lot of lessons from our furry friends.
Yeah.
And doing this work day in and
Yeah.
day out reminds me of that.
So how many flights do you do sort of on average in like a week or?
I would say on average once per week.
Okay.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit more now that we have 2 planes, and when we have three, we probably, but with jet fuel prices the way they are, I mean, we've been tightening up routes. It gets
Yeah.
expensive fast. The plane has a 320-gallon tank. Think about that, 320 gallons. You're burning about 40 gallons per hour.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to fill up at places other than our home airport just because it's expensive. It's like $7.50 a gallon, and we're burning 40 gallons per hour. It gets expensive real fast.
Adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, but this is something that's affecting all of us. But again, that's why I come back to those vans with transport. I mean, they're diesel vans. The range is terrific on it. And diesel fuel's not cheap, but running the vans is a drop in the bucket compared to a plane.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, if people want to help, they can make donations at the website. Is that the best way for people to help?
Yeah, we have multiple. Absolutely. I mean, we have multiple options on pilotstorescue.org to donate. We accept Zelle, Venmo, Cash App. People can use credit cards. There's lots of ways. Other ways people can help out, because not everybody can afford to donate, is by sharing one of our social posts. Like when we post this podcast, it'd be great for them to share it and spread the mission. I really like some of the things that we got into in this podcast, because it's getting into the weeds about some misconceptions and stuff like that, and how we mitigate rising aviation costs and stuff like that. Really some timely information. So sharing that post, and then I always tell people, open your home and heart to fostering. Fostering is a terrific way to help out the rescue community with lack of space, and it also, a lot of people want to have an animal and they can't, whether it's financial reasons or responsibility. This is a great way to fall in love with an animal temporarily and then hand it back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it takes, and I know it's fostering, it isn't for everyone, but I think it's for more people than we realize. It's whether it's something you can do short term, long term, and as you were saying before, I mean, obviously times are tough for everyone at the moment. And donating money isn't always, people are finding it, I just don't have the extra. And I think people sometimes underestimate the value of a share. Just as sharing, as you say, information, social things about what you're doing can have such a massive impact. Because
don't dismiss the power of signing a petition or getting behind a cause. That's what I also tell people, get behind a cause you believe in and do what you can to try to shift or transform that space. Not everybody can dedicate their life to this type of work, or is it fortunate, as I consider myself very fortunate, partially because of the work that I do. Giving back, it comes back to you tenfold. So just get involved in something you're passionate about, even if you can't do it full time, and try to move that needle just a little bit. Because I think collectively we are a voice. And there's a lot of atrocities happening in this world right now. But if we all, link arms together, I don't want people to feel like you're defeated. Just throw up your arms and there's nothing you can do. That's the worst. That's the worst feeling in the world. So just get involved in something you're passionate about. And there's a lot of great changes coming down the pike with animal rescue, and some amazing groups that are really transforming the space and creating new laws and legislation. The cost of animal care is a topic I'm sure that's very fresh in your mind, how much has increased. And there's a lot of opportunistic companies that are getting involved and driving costs up. So
and it's something that in the UK has come under a lot of scrutiny recently with the fact, with corporatization of veterinary practices. And it's part of why I no longer work in veterinary practice, is just the actual stress of the financial side of it. Just, I wanted, I became a vet because I wanted to help people and their animals. And it just felt like it was getting harder and harder to do that without having a nervous breakdown every week. So and that's the main reason why, sort of like you, sort of finding how can I do what I'm good at and I love doing, but, in a different way. That's been such I think, it's been a lifesaver for me, essentially. So I definitely feel you in terms of finding the job that you didn't think existed and finding something so fulfilling. That's right. I think it is. And you're right, because there's so much negative news at the moment, but the one thing I learned with doing what I'm doing is there's so much positive as well. And yeah, it's so easy to get bogged down with all the horrible stuff. But every day I'm learning about another charity, another person, another something that's making it better. And that is, as you say, it's what you've got to cling to, because you said that we're just making a small difference. It's a huge difference. And being able to sort of redistribute and get pets and animals to where they need to be is a massive factor, especially in a very big country like the US.
I always encourage people to go to the local shelter and ask how you can help out. They need your help, whether it's doing community drives for supplies and food, to finding fosters. There are ways that you can help out in your own community. And it doesn't matter where you live, there's always going to be unwanted animals. So even if they have great programs here in Brooklyn, for example, like Sean Casey Animal Rescue is a popular one where you can volunteer your time to walk dogs. It's like checking out a library book, but it's so important. You're making such a difference in an animal's life, and you're gonna enjoy it too. So those type of programs are very powerful. Donations are really important. It's easy to write a check. If you have the means, that's great, but actually rolling up your sleeve and getting involved physically is extremely rewarding. As I said, I have countless blessings in my life that doing this work is the only explanation. Your actions, if they align with making a difference, it'll come back to you tenfold. I mean, they always talk about giving is better than receiving, and I'm living proof that that's true. So I would encourage people, whatever's going on in your life, if you make time to give back. And sometimes the people that are the least fortunate figure this out. Going back earlier to what we said about people that are handicapped, it's also, they've done countless studies about people, that you only are happy up to a certain income level, and then it declines, right? So it's the people that seemingly have the least are sometimes the happiest,
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So just give back. That's the missing ingredient in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. And again, don't underestimate the power of sharing, And so anyone, if you're listening and watching, Pilots to the Rescue, tell your friends.
Thank you.